Hello, my name is Simon. Ableton Wavetable is my favorite synthesizer for the sole reason that it's so simple to use and you can get so many flexible results out of it, especially when you start adding your own wavetables to it. The patch that you heard me play in the beginning here was a pad that's from my preset pack that I just put up on my store, on my website. It's only $5 and it's 50 presets. And in this video I will just go over my presets a bit and tell you how I created them, like all of the cool tricks I learned. It took me a full 2 months to create all of these presets, and I hope you'll see some reason why. Just in the beginning here I added a shimmer, but from now on I won't be having a shimmer, so we'll get rid of that. This patch in particular is a very cool thing, because what I'm doing is I'm using the two LFOs, but then I turned off this re-trigger mode, which means that the LFOs are just free and independent of the tempo of the song, so they're just running as they want to. And this is something that I'm using in pretty much every patch here. There are very few patches here that actually stick to the tempo of the project. I like it when it's just a little free floating and cool. But this is what those LFOs are set to, and those are adjusting the octave of each of these oscillators here, the two oscillators. And those oscillators are also panned left and right, which creates this very weird texture, because the LFO1 is controlling oscillator 1, LFO2 is controlling oscillator 2, but they're doing it at different rates, which means that you get this very glitchy, almost sort of texture that sounds really cool. We'll go to another patch now that I really like. It's called Kalimba. I can't really tell you how I created this patch, but I just created it one day, and then the next day when I came back to listen to it and play it, I was like, oh shit, this sounds great. Because I was literally trying to emulate a Kalimba, but with this wavetable synthesizer, and it sounds like this. I think that sounds really fucking good. A really cool thing that I did here is that I used the velocity to control the release of the envelope, I believe. Yeah, here. So you can see in the modulation matrix here, my amp release is being controlled by the velocity a bit. So as I hit harder, the note is going to release for longer. Okay, and now this is a very cool preset that I wanted to show off that I made yesterday. It's called 12 string, and I was essentially trying to create the strumming sensation on a 12 string guitar when you're playing first the lower octave of the double chorused string, and then the first oscillator is playing the lower octave. As you can see, it says 0 semitones pitch there, and then on the second oscillator we have 12 semitones up, and the second oscillator is being, its volume of the second oscillator is being modulated by this LFO here. But what this LFO is doing is that it's on a triangle waveform, and it's extremely slow. And I've offset it by 179 degrees, and it's right at the start there. But there's a little silence, which means that oscillator 1 will play first, and then oscillator 2 comes slightly before. And to give that some extra variation, the delayed activation of the oscillator 2, to give that some extra variation, I'm using the random value here. If you don't know about the random in the matrix, it's essentially creating a new random value each time you press the key. And I am modulating the LFO2 amount, which you can see here, which means that sometimes the oscillator 2 isn't even playing, and sometimes it is playing. So this creates a very cool variation that it was too... Here's another patch I wanted to show you. Not really because of any particular reason, only that it sounds really cool. It's called Water Level, and the reason for why this patch is called Water Level is because it sounds like underwater level in a retro game. Another patch that I made that I thought was really cool was this, it's sort of like an 80s vaporwave sort of thing. Here's a bass patch I made that was meant to resemble the bass that you hear in Burial's music, because I really like Burial. This patch is called City Ghost. I think that was quite fitting for a Burial sounding patch. One of the things that's really annoying when it comes to production, especially if you do like lo-fi hip-hop stuff, is that you need a good like vinyl crackle to sit on top of everything. At least if you want it to sound a little bit more like chill hip-hop vibes, you know. I created this patch to sort of give you can just press one key. You don't have to go all over the keyboard or whatever. You can just press one key and you will eventually find a vinyl sound that you like. So if I just were to press this key a few times, you can hear the different stuff that you can create now. So it's just a bunch of varieties of crackles. And the way that I suggest that you would use this is that you would create a new audio track and put it in resample mode. And then you would record onto this, obviously. And then you start. And now we have this here, and we can just loop it. And now you have a very authentic sounding vinyl noise sound. One thing that I've made that I thought was really cool was this drums preset here. And it can be both a snare drum and a kick drum all at the same time. So in the MIDI roll here, I can just sequence a drum sound here. So I'll try to create something here for you. So now we have a kick drum here. Sure, let's keep in the noise, the vinyl noise from earlier. That will just fit right in here, I think. So now we have created a very cool, like, authentic sounding kick drum here. So let's create a it was that easy. Maybe create like a little tom fill that sits at the end. Let's see how this sounds now. Very cool, very cool. It's just one patch, dude. I think this is so neat. I mean, it isn't practical, I guess, but it's a really cool thing to like see. Okay, so this is a really cool experiment that I did. I used a science-free wavetable from the harmonics subcategory, and I have that set on oscillator 1 and oscillator 2, and they're panned hard left and right. I'm modulating the panning using an LFO on both of them, but they're panned invertedly, so that when one is on the left, the other one is on the right, and they're never in the same place at once. And I'm doing the same thing with the oscillator 1 position. So I'm using the LFO2 with plus 50 to modulate the position of the wavetable on oscillator 1, and then I'm doing it the inverted way on oscillator 2. So it's the same wavetable, but they work inverted from one another, and they're both panned hard left and right, which creates this very cool thing. especially when they're harmonics. So when one is like a fifth harmonic, the other is a seventh harmonic, and then it gets really weird and wacky, you know. This is a really cool patch that I made. It's called Sakamoto. I made this after Ryuichi Sakamoto died, and I was just thinking about his music a lot. And I can't say from which of his songs I got this idea for this patch. It's Sakamoto inspired anyway. I can't say from what song or anything, but it sounds like this. Okay, so one cool thing that I'm doing with this patch is that I'm using the velocity to modulate the attack of the filter, which in practice means that because it's on -61 here in the matrix, as you can see, the velocity, so when I hit very soft, it's a very long attack, and when I hit very hard, it's a very short attack. And this creates a very cool dynamic because you can play chords with the left hand on the keyboard, and you can, and as long here's the obligatory brass patch that every fucking Okay, I think I'll stop now. I've been rambling enough about Ableton Wavetable, but I hope you can see now like how much different possibilities there are within Wavetable. I don't think this synth is appreciated enough, especially since, because of the fact that you can modulate everything. And the envelopes can also go into loop mode as they would in Serum or whatever Wavetable synthesizer, but that means that you don't only have 2 LFOs, you can effectively have 5 LFOs if you want to. You can buy this preset pack for $5 on my store. It's in the description. If you felt like any of these sounds would be of use to you, I don't really understand how they work, but I think I made some really cool stuff here, because every time I pull up one of these presets, it instantly inspires me to write something, and I think that's something that every patch should have, in my opinion. Anyway, I'll stop now. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.